Hello everybody, this is Dr. Novak again, and in this video I wanted to give you a few examples of things that we thought are wrong, and I'm going to give you the correct facts and myths that seem to be out in the aquarium hobby. There's a lot of untrue facts and a lot of myths out there, so I'll start with the very first one. As an example, is plastic more hygienic than wood? Specifically, it is thought to be better to use plastic, for example, for cutting boards rather than wood ones. However, in scientific tests in which wood was exposed to troublesome bacteria such as Salmonella and E. coli, it was established that particularly all the bacteria died quite rapidly on wood. However, on plastic surfaces, bacteria not only survived longer, but sometimes even multiplied. I bet you didn't know that, did you? A planted aquarium that requires no water changes can be considered to be a bitope, otherwise known as a natural aquarium. We see this word natural aquarium or a bitope thrown around on the YouTube quite a lot, that people almost pat themselves on the back that, oh, I've done no water changes and my aquarium is all stable and it's natural, and that cannot be farther than the truth. So I'm going to read you exactly a definition which is known of how a bitope or natural aquarium is based on. A bitope is a location at which a specific community of plants and animals has formed that are especially suitable for the location and are in equilibrium with one another. An aquarium may be a bitope or natural aquarium, but only if all the various cycles govern themselves and it does not need to be maintained, which means it needs to complete the nitrogen cycle in its hole under anoxic conditions and complete disseminative denitrification. It doesn't qualify as a bitope or natural aquarium if you need to cut back plants, let out water, or fish out algae so that the ecology balance is not upset. Now, this is how they define a bitope or natural aquarium. The next one is fish cannot drown. A lot of people believe that. There are many reasons why fish sometimes drown. They need oxygen to live, and if they swim into oxygen-depleted waters, they will drown. Pollution from factory waste often results in lack of oxygen in water. Oil pollution can also cause fish to drown, as well as microscopic particles that get caught in the gills and make it impossible for the fish to breathe. So yes, fish can drown. A sardine is a species of fish. What we buy as sardines are actually several different kinds of small fish, herring and placards being the most common. The oil and spices in which the fish are packed are what gives them their trademark flavor, not the fish itself. The red herring is a type of fish. There is no fish called red herring. Herrings turn red after it is smoked and salted. It was traditionally used to throw off the scent of hunting dogs, leading them on a false trail. That's where we got the old saying, it's nothing but a false red herring, meaning it means that you're barking up the wrong tree. Iodized salt is harmful to fish. Boy, this myth has been around for as long as I've been in the hobby. Everybody believes the myth that you should not use table salt or iodized salt, that you should only use aquarium salt. However, this myth is false. You can safely Add the same amount of regular table salt to an aquarium as you would non-iodized aquarium salt. It's a big, huge myth out there to make sure that people bought only aquarium salt if your fish needed to have salt added to their aquarium. Salt, when added to aquarium, a lot of times it prevents fish from osmosis, because freshwater fish have salt in them and saltwater fish have freshwater in them. So salt is to be taken, well, to be added to your tank with a grain of salt. Use caution when using it. Small aquariums are inherently less stable than larger ones. At one time, this could have been true because smaller tanks would cool down and heat up faster than larger aquariums. But today, it's a myth is really outdated, because with today's equipment and reliability of heaters, a small tank can be just as stable as a very large aquarium if properly maintained and has the correct number of occupants according to its bioload or biomass to volume capabilities. So a lot of people will say the larger the tank, the more stable it is. Well, that's a myth, especially today, since as long as your biomass is equal to volume, then it's just as stable as a 10-gallon. It's just as stable as a 1,000-gallon, as long as the biomass is according to volume capabilities. Avoiding temperature shock is the main reason for acclimating fish. Overly long acclimation times generally do more harm than good. Take the example of fish that have been in their shipping bags for over 24 hours. Typically, the pH of their water will be very low, while the ammonia concentrations will be high. As it turns out, ammonia is much less toxic to fish at a low pH. Now, this is very true, like when you get goldfish, they will tell you if the goldfish looks stressed, do not acclimate it. Open up the bag, remove the fish from the bag by your hand, do not put the water in the tank, and put the fish in the aquarium immediately without acclimation. So imagine what happens to those fish in a lengthy acclimation. As carbon dioxide is driven out of the fish bags, the pH rises. Even though the aquarius is slowly adding tank water to the bag, it isn't happening fast enough to dilute the ammonia before the rising pH takes the ammonia to become toxic enough to kill the fish right in the bag. In other cases, the stress imposed on certain nervous fish by restraining them in a clear bag at the surface where they cannot hide is greater than just releasing them so they can seek a secured hiding place immediately. Generally, acclimation times of more than 30 minutes are unnecessary and potentially do more harm than good. Of course, this myth is false. Fish will grow to the maximum size for that aquarium. However, that does not mean they will stop growing and will have to be transferred over to a larger aquarium. In the smaller aquarium, the fish will slow down its growth rate. However, once the transfer over to a larger aquarium is completed, the growth rate of the fish will then accelerate once again. However, there are hormones and things that can be released by, like fish, that will, if overcrowded, seem to stunt their growth, and this has been seen in ponds where people seem to be overcrowding their ponds to the point that their fish will only grow to about maybe 18-20 inches, and that's it, because of this hormone secretion stops the growth rate of the fish. Mangroves will help maintain aquarium water quality. Well, this really sounds familiar. I've heard people talk about mangroves, but this almost reminds you of pothos or devil's ivy. And people insist about these plants and how they will improve water quality. Well, I'm going to read you the facts. Keeping mangroves healthy in the aquarium is not a simple matter. They are prone to developing scale insect diseases, require very high light levels. Even if the plants do thrive, the argument that they will actually remove organic waste products from the aquarium water is difficult to prove. Now, does this sound familiar with pothos? Been around for 50 years, and nobody has any scientific proof that it removes nitrates from water. Yet, 50 years later, like mangroves, people are insisting that pothos removes nitrates from water, yet where is the scientific proof? In one case, in a large 200-gallon public aquarium exhibit containing 3 large, actively growing mangroves trees had been set up for over 2 years and were well established. It did have a fairly high bioload of fish, but orthophosphate readings of 7.5 parts per million milligrams a liter were totally unexpected based on the supposed nutrient removal ability of mangroves. So, public aquariums also do not find, and I will repeat this, pothos to work in public aquariums taking nitrates. So if public aquariums can't find it working, why is the hobbyist so sure that pothos takes out nitrates out of the aquarium? Okay, anyhow, that's it for this video. I thought I would bring up everything that I have said here are all true facts. Okay, these facts can be looked up because a lot of people do believe in some of these myths or believe that mangroves and pothos and stuff are a miracle plant that clean up our water. They don't. A lot of these myths, and there's more. I only bring out in this video a few of the myths or false information that's being given out to the hobbyists and continues year after year to be given out to the hobbyists. And whenever somebody then says, oh no, that's not true, then I always ask them, where's the scientific proof? Bring it. I mean, one person made the claim that the pothos, oh, no, I'm wrong and I'm giving out false information. I told him, okay, give me, and he said he was a researcher. I said, okay, you're a researcher and you deal with plants. I said, something's not quite right. If you're a researcher that deals with plants, you're called a botanist. You wouldn't call yourself a researcher of plants. You would call yourself by the correct name a botanist, because that's what a botanist is, a scientific researcher of plants. Not only that sent up a red flag to me, but, oh, I've researched everything and he made that my last video was wrong. I said, fine, if it's wrong, you show me the white paper, since you're a researcher, on the research you have done on pothos that I am wrong. And he said, oh, I do agriculture and greenhouses. And I said, and you give me your white paper, and I then will give you peer review. I will hand over your white paper to a professor who is a botanist. And in fact, that my father-in-law was a greenhouse grower and owned greenhouses. I said, I'll be more than happy to peer review your white paper on your research of pothos. It's been around for 50 years, and you're claiming that I'm wrong and it uses nitrates, because I do know for a fact Mangroves, that's why you don't see mangroves anymore in aquariums. And pothos should also be expelled from aquariums because it's a lot of, well, false hopes that don't exist on people. And I'm constantly getting people saying they did nothing for me, pothos. They did no nitrate removal. And I said, no, they don't, period. And that's coming right from the professor who is a botanist. So this guy, I'm waiting for his research paper. I said, well, give me your research paper. This is not a forum where we're going to debate things. This is a YouTube channel, an educational channel. If you're going to come up, you want to challenge me, that's fine. Where is your research? Put your money where your mouth is, as they say. If this individual has research and he claims he's a researcher, fine. You ought to have white paper. Hand me the white paper so it can be peer review. Whenever you do research, you have to give your paper over for peer review to be scrutinized by other scientists. I told him, give me your research. Prove me wrong of what I said in my last video that pothos does not take nitrates out of aquarium water. That is a falseness that for 50 years has been going on in the hobby. And yet, I said, 2/3 out of the people who use pothos will tell you it does not work. It doesn't take nitrates out. So that is entirely false, that the plant will aid in water quality, the same as mangroves. Mangroves have never really been scientifically proven to clean aquarium water. This all started, I remember, back in the 80s when people were getting mangroves and putting them into their saltwater aquariums because, ooh, they would help with water quality. And guess what? It didn't work. That's why you don't really see anybody today in the aquarium hobby using mangroves. You will see professional aquariums put mangroves in their exhibits, but that's for aesthetic reasons because there is no scientific proof backing up that a mangrove will clean your aquarium water. Okay, so this is Dr. Novak. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, happy fish keeping.